Lesson 8.6, we're going to talk about the area of circles. To find the area of a circle, they kind of talk about on the first page here. If you take a circle and you cut it up into pieces, kind of like a pizza, if you think about it, you can then kind of merge those together. It kind of approximates a parallelogram. Area of a parallelogram is base times height. So the base would be half of the circumference because we've got half of the outside of the circles on the top or bottom. The height is actually the radius of the circles. And if you multiply those, you get half of circumference times the radius. Well, that doesn't look real great. So what they did from there is we can say, well, the circumference is 2 pi times the radius. Half of 2 is 1, so we can just ignore that if you want. And then r times r is r squared. So this is actually a way that they were able to come up with this formula for the area of a circle. It kind of seems a little haphazard, doesn't seem like it would quite work out, but apparently it does, even though we've got kind of some not so straight lines on the top and the bottom of this figure. So looking at formulas that will be given to you when you do the iLearn test, one of the formulas that will be given to you is the area of a circle. So you don't have to memorize this formula. If you're doing a problem that's going to involve the area of the circle, my understanding is they're going to give you this formula. All right, when they give you the formula, you probably need to know that r means radius, okay? Pi, they should probably tell you whether we're just going to keep it as pi or whether we're going to use 3.14 or 22/7, whatever the case might be, but you will be given that formula. So if you look at example 1, floor of a new butterfly conservatory will be a circle with an 18-foot radius. Material for the floor costs $3.95 per square foot. About how much will the floor cost? So what they did, they used the formula first of all to figure out what the area of the floor is. So they used 3.14 for pi. The radius was 18. When you do this problem, order of operations says we are going to do exponents first before we multiply. Remember, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So exponents before we multiply. 18 squared, 18 times 18 is 324. And then multiply that by 3.14 is 1017.36. Don't round that answer because that's not our answer yet. So the book rounded it. Cost per square foot is $3.95. I would keep that exact answer we had, 1017.36. We just saved ourselves a little money. Now it is $4,018.57 approximately. Okay, it's pretty close. It does say about how much will the floor cost, so I guess if we rounded like they did would be okay also. So if we look at the try it, at a school play there's a spotlight above the center of the floor that covers a lighted area with a radius of 7 feet. What is the area covered by the spotlight? They are using 22/7 for pi, which again would be something they would have to tell us. They did give us the radius, so that works out nicely for us because with the area of a circle, we always have to have the radius. Okay, don't just say, well, it's the radius squared, I'll just use the diameter instead. Diameter is not the same as the radius squared, okay, unless your radius is 1. Okay, so almost all the time radius squared and the diameter are not the same thing, so don't try to confuse that. 2 times the radius is the same as the diameter. 2 times the radius is not the same as the radius squared. All right, so first of all, we put a 7 in. And then order of operations, we need to square that first. So that would be 49. We can put the 49 over 1. Technically at that point we're multiplying, so if you want to reduce the 7 and the 49 by a factor of 7, you can. Would be 1 and 7. If you don't want to do that, just multiply and then divide it out at the end. So basically if we reduce, we're looking at 22 times 7. So that would be 154. And so we can say the area covered by the spotlight is about 154 square feet. The convince me talks about if the diameter was given, how would you find the area? You would have to take the diameter divided by 2 in order to figure out your radius, and then you could use your radius in the formula. Example 2, the athletic department wants to paint the school's mascot logo on the gym locker room wall. They start by painting a solid blue circle on the wall. What is the maximum diameter of the logo if only 1 quart of blue paint is used? Okay, so usually on a paint can it's going to tell you what kind of coverage you can get. So 1 quart covers 78.5 square feet. So what they did, they substituted in, if we can cover 78.5 square feet, we're going to use 3.14 for pi, and we're going to figure out what the radius is first. Okay, don't shortcut. You can't shortcut this. You have to find the radius first on this problem. In order to find the radius, first of all, they're multiplying by 3.14 on that side with the r squared. We need to divide in order to get that to cancel. They rigged this up pretty nice because when you divide that, you get 25. That's r squared, not r. So r squared, it's being squared. To get rid of that, we need to take the square root. Technically, when you take the square root, you should put a plus or minus in front of that. Or, in this case, it comes out really nicely. You guys can just think about what number times itself equals 25, okay? A radius can't be negative, so really the negative answer doesn't even make sense there, but square root of 25 is 5. If you ever got one that didn't come out evenly, you have on your calculator, there's an x squared button, and above it, there's a square root button. So if you hit the second button, and then the x squared button, that'd bring up square root on your screen, and then you could type 25 in, hit enter or equals, and then get your answer of 5. Obviously, you guys know 5 times 5 is 25, so we don't really need that for this problem. But if it didn't come out evenly, that would be what you would need to do. So the radius is 5. They were asking what kind of diameter we could have, so we just double that, and then the diameter we could have would be up to 10 feet. And again, even though that's a simple calculation, really we should show 5 times 2 equals 10. So we are mathematicians and not mathematicians. Example 3, Ellie needs new grass on the circular pen for her chickens. What is the area of the pen? So 176 feet of fencing is the circumference. Circumference is 2 pi times the radius. They're using 22/7 for pi. Substituting into that formula, that'd be 44/7 times r. The book's doing this a little differently. If you wanted to here, you could say they're multiplying. You could divide by 44/7. Remember, when you divide, keep change reciprocal. So it'd be times 7 over 44. When you work that out, it comes out as a radius of 28 feet. Radius of 28 feet. We're going to find the area. They're using 22/7 again here. Again, technically we would square the 28 first and then multiply by 22/7. And if you work that out, is 2,464 square feet is the area of the pen.